Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, in this video today I'm going to talk a bit about a couple recent Panasonic Lumix equipment releases and what they may or may not say about the future of Panasonic Lumix L Mount and Micro Four Thirds. So two releases are the DMW-DMS1 microphone, which they released, what, a month or two back. It almost looks like a little box with a 20mm Lumix Micro Four Thirds lens on top, sort of. But it's gotten very good reviews, and it looks to be a really interesting product. So if you haven't seen any of those reviews, just look up the DMW-DMS1 microphone, and you'll see all those reviews on YouTube. One thing that's really interesting about that microphone is that it works through the hot shoe. So it gets its power through the hot shoe, and it sends the digital audio through the hot shoe to the camera. So that's kind of nice, because if you're using a microphone that requires a cable, you have to plug the cable into the microphone, or one of my mics actually has an integral cable, and then you have to plug that into the mic jack on the camera. And you know, it just kind of gets in the way, and also I think it's a point of vulnerability having a cable sticking out of that thing, because you happen to bang it, you might damage the jack. So having a mic that sits on top of the camera and is powered through the hot shoe, I think is an advantage. Now the way that works is, if you look at the recent Lumix cameras, like this G9 Mark II, the GH7, the S5 IIs, the latest S1s, there is, if you look at the hot shoe, there is an extra contact. So the Lumix flash hot shoe generally has the main contact to fire the flash, and then it has 3 other contacts. On these cameras, there's an extra contact, so there's 4 extra contacts, and one of those contacts provides power. So let's see if this works. Yep, that should work. So you can see that there. It's got an extra contact, and that contact is gold. If you look at like this GX9, which does not have that power contact, so hold this up and make sure that I think it's focusing. Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, that mic won't work on this camera, and this camera doesn't have a mic jack. So that's the one thing I find a little silly about it. It really ought to have a mic jack or a way to use a microphone, but it doesn't. But you know what other camera doesn't have that? The S9. And so folks that have an S9 who are thinking maybe they're going to use that microphone, you're out of luck, because it ain't going to work. That mic does not have a power pin or a hot shoe at all, right? It's just a cold shoe. So that's interesting. It seems to me that if they are going to update the S9, it's going to have a hot shoe, because people are going to want to use that microphone. People want to use flash, so that takes care of that. Personally, my feeling is, because I tried the S9, I felt it was too big for what it was. I mean, if you stick this GX9 next to the S9, this is quite a bit smaller, and it has all the things the S9 does not have, except for a mic jack, right? So hot shoe, you can use a flash, has a built-in flash. So I think that kind of, you know, means that at some point there will be some sort of update to the S9 that has at least a hot shoe, so you can use that microphone. And now to the other release, the 40mm Lumix f2 L Mount lens. What does that tell us? Well, it's sort of a full-frame analog to this 20mm f1.7 Micro Four Thirds Lumix pancake lens. They're calling that 40mm lens a muffin lens, not exactly a pancake. It still is compact. So, you know, when you look at reviews on YouTube, you know, a lot of people saying, well, finally there's a compact lens to put on the S9. Of course, still have that 18-40, which is pretty compact. In fact, they're about the same size when the 18-40 is collapsed. But I find it rather interesting that they came out with that lens, like what, a month or two after they discontinued the 20mm Micro Four Thirds lens, which Yeah, I hope that doesn't mean that they're not going to continue to support Micro Four Thirds, because in Micro Four Thirds land, everybody loves this lens. There are Olympus OMD users who love this lens. This is a really fantastic little lens. But I think it's really interesting that they would come out with a lens kind of geared towards people with the S9 to keep it compact, and then discontinue this. But consider that Panasonic no longer makes Micro Four Thirds cameras like this. And there doesn't seem to be any indication that they are going to come out with an updated version of this, unfortunately. So I know people are pining away for like a GX10, and believe me, I'm there, I'm with you. Be nice to get a little bit better viewfinder than the field sequential viewfinder on this thing, although I've never had an issue with that. Some people do. And maybe have a mic jack, or maybe make it possible to use that little DMW-DMS1 microphone. That would make this a really great little powerhouse, right? And still has a size and weight advantage over the S9. Image quality, yeah, obviously. Full frame camera is going to have better image quality, but how much does that matter? In fact, if you know Adam at First Man Photography, he just came out with a thing about crop versus full frame and image quality, and how these days it really doesn't matter. So those are my thoughts on this. Love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to leave comments down below. And any questions, I'll try to address those as soon as I can. New subscribers are always welcome. And hey, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description. I generally forget to mention this, but if this was worthwhile to you and you feel like supporting me so I can do more of these types of videos, buy me a coffee. That'd be great too. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you in the next video.